What do you make of what's going on right now with this guy, Snowden, and all the disclosures he's putting out there?
I think it's amazing to track our own nation's tolerance for snooping on the government's behalf. You know, even just 8-10 years ago, people would have been up in arms about the notion that the NSA was tracking, without warrant, private communications between American citizens. I think I was just reading the Times this morning. I think it was Krugman had a piece about, you know, 80% of Americans 10 years ago would have, under Bush, were outraged by a lot of the NSA happenings. And today, when this news breaks last week, or, you know, people seem to be okay. As long as the bar has been lowered tremendously in a post 9/11 world. Insecurity is a dangerous force opposed to, I believe, you know, individual liberties. And where we are now is it seems like a tipping point. The fact that there's not more outrage, the fact that people seem to be accepting of this notion of a big brother state. You know, it's weird. It comes on the heels of the Boston Marathon bombing and all those security cameras that were greatly appreciated in helping us find the perpetrators. It is interesting. It's such a positive context right now, but there are other contexts where that level of surveillance, that level of scrutiny, that level of that loss of anonymity on the streets of a democracy would be looked at, I think, differently. And it is a tricky balance. You know, we all want to be safe and secure, but if the cost of that is really too deeply intrusive of our individual liberties, I think it's a treacherous path to go down.
What does it say about the American people that, you know, the majority of us say they don't really care? I have nothing to hide is sort of the line that a lot of people are saying. You know, if I'm not doing anything wrong, go ahead, look through my emails, you know, listen to my phone calls. How can people say that?
Well, I think it's an optimistic disposition. You know,
no kidding.
It doesn't. It gives great credit to the government as being, you know, sort of like a joke. You know, well, as long as they're not looking, as long as I'm not doing anything wrong, they're not looking at me. I think it's a false sense of insulation from that process, and it assumes the government is beneficent and generous and kind, and you know, of course, all it takes is a change in government, and that's one step away from a totalitarian Orwellian state, which would be, I think, people would feel very differently about. So it's funny because people are so discontent with government, people are so mistrusting of government in a generalized sense, but when it comes to national security, people's responses seem to be, that's okay, I want to be safe, you know, keep it safe, but they don't sort of conflate the possibility of that power becoming abused and destructive and infringing upon their rights.